Boise Art Revel is bringing a fresh and exciting live design competition to the Hap Hap Lounge in downtown Boise on December 8th. You're invited to watch as local graphic designers engage in an electrifying showdown that will definitely leave a lasting impact on the creative community. Boise Art Revel is sure to be a one-of-a-kind occasion, and tickets are just $10 if you snag them early on Eventbrite. Search Boise Art Revel or click the link in our show notes to join in on this unforgettable creative experience.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Today on CityCast Boise, we're exploring the implications of the federal court's decision on Idaho's controversial abortion trafficking law and why a local breakfast spot suddenly closed, allegedly leaving a mountain of unpaid bills. Plus, our picks of the week, holiday coffee perfection, and Boise's new car share program. It's Friday, December 6th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Happy Friday, everyone. Joining me today is our executive producer, Frankie Barnhill. Thanks so much for being here today, Frankie.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy Friday.
So there's been some movement in a pretty big abortion case that has really thrust Idaho into the national spotlight again. It's the Idaho abortion trafficking lawsuit, which is unique in the entire country. It's the Matsumoto versus Labrador case, and it is making waves, and people have a lot to say about this. So, Frankie, I'm really curious, what are your thoughts? What have your conversations about this case been?
Recently, just this week, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed the opinion that was from a lower court that's been in place since a year ago. So we've been waiting with bated breath about this. It kind of feels like hurry up and wait with all of these abortion cases. Do you feel that way?
Stop and go. And then suddenly it's different. And suddenly I've got whiplash.
Honestly, I need to make a spreadsheet of all of the different lawsuits and where things stand and where appeals are and then appeals back. So anyway, right now, this one, as you said, it's been reversed, which means that enforcement can now occur again. And that means that folks who are under 18, minors, are unable to cross state lines under this case to receive abortion care. And for me, I'm thinking about so many things, but, one of the elements of it that's interesting is that the plaintiffs, which were, Idaho attorney Lourdes Matsumoto, that's why it's called the Matsumoto case, or the abortion trafficking case, was also the Northwest Abortion Access Fund. And just thinking about the importance of abortion funds since Roe fell and seeing this latest iteration, this loss, at least at this stage in this case, and kind of how abortion funds have both been like the places that people can turn to and also aren't always coming out on top in cases like this. What are you thinking about with this, or what kind of conversations have you had?
I think all of this decision is very interesting to me because, like you said, the U.S. magistrate judge, Deborah Gresham's ruling said that this was unenforceable, too vague, and so no part of it was being enforced for an entire year. Right. Now, there are three main words in this law that have left people confused or really are the foundation of the lawsuit, and it's that an adult can't recruit, harbor, or transport minors for abortion care. And there's two parts of that. They can't go out of state without parental permission, and that you can't help a minor obtain an abortion in the state without parental knowledge or consent. And that is kind of a big deal because you can order abortion medications online and still get them in Idaho. So a big concern with the idea of recruiting, and one of the reasons why Matsumoto brought this case, is what does recruiting mean?
Right.
Like, is that having a conversation with a teen that you don't know is pregnant about abortion, and their parents find out, and now you're facing a felony. Like the charges for this are also a felony punishable by 2 to 5 years in jail. So this isn't just like a little,
not just civil penalty. This is criminal.
But there is also a civil penalty or a civil litigation part where the parents can also sue you, with the caveat the parents can't sue you if they have impregnated their own child.
Oh,
like,
yikes.
This is a whole different level of dystopian insanity. So the big issue was, what does recruit mean? And how does that conflict with First Amendment? Because this is a law where then universities were like, can our staff talk about the abortion law at all? Because what if there's
in a history class or a political science class?
Yeah, what if there's a 17-year-old pregnant person on campus who's not emancipated, and now their parents sue us and we're going to jail? And so there was a lot of concern about the chilling effect and the impacts on the First Amendment. Now, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said that the recruiting part can't be enforced because it is a violation of the First Amendment. It is vague. It, clearly conflicts. Yeah. But they did uphold the harbor and transport part. So
the core of it,
which I would argue are equally vague, because if, I don't know, one of my kids' friends says, hey, Mrs. Van Allen, can you take me to the post office? I've got a package. My mom works today. Can you take me? Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Let's hop in the car. They're picking up abortion pills. I don't know they're pregnant. I don't know. I can now face a felony and be sued by their parents. And so there's 1,000 little situations that could happen. Does this mean letting somebody borrow your car? Does this mean, if I let one of my kids' friends borrow my car and they go pick up abortion medications at the post office, am I now a felon? Like, there's just 1,000 little scenarios where enforcement of this could become very sticky and very complicated for people.
Yeah, you're so right to bring up, of course, the mailing of mifepristone, of the abortion pill across state lines in the mail. The main way people think about this is physically transporting a minor to Oregon or Washington to obtain an abortion, but that's not the only scenario involved in this. And I mean, I do think it was interesting that the Ninth Circuit, which is generally a more liberal court overall, and certainly on abortion cases, has ruled in various ways, but generally speaking, across the courts of appeals and other parts of the country, often comes down in defending abortion rights to one degree or another. But that in this case, they're on Idaho's side, minus, yes, the one element of it that is protected speech. Oh God, I mean, yeah, we think about as you said, the minor who can't tell their parents because maybe it's someone in their family who got them pregnant, or someone that it's dangerous for them to tell their parents for whatever reason, and to get that consent. I mean, it just feels like just one more thing that Idahoans have lost once again in terms of access to reproductive health care. And it's looking at the map, I just looked at the map once again of the states around Idaho and that do allow abortion to one degree or another. I mean, even more conservative, another conservative state like Montana allows access more than Idaho does. So once again, Idaho just really, especially in the West, standing out as one of the most restrictive states in the country.
Yeah, and I do think it's important to note something that I thought was very interesting is within the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that made this judgment, it was overall judges that were appointed by Obama, that were appointed by that were appointed by Clinton. Like this was not Republican appointed judges. That was really interesting and a little concerning for me. And like you said, from when I worked in the ER and in the NICU, we don't like to think about the situations where a child will not tell their parents they're pregnant, but it happens. And even when we say like, it's rare, it's not common, rare just means it happens to 1 to 7% of the population. That's still a lot of people when you look at the population of the Treasure Valley. That means it's still happening every month. That means it's still happening every week in a hospital situation where these cases are coming in and they're heartbreaking. And this is just taking people who already are in a bad situation and making it infinitely more difficult for them to get the care that they need or to access care, or it makes them scared. Like, what are they going to do?
Or just confuses them, right? Confusion alone is a problem.
Yeah. Can they ask somebody? Yeah. And that's a big issue I found with this is people are confused. Like, what does this ruling mean? What rights do we have? And I actually talked to Wendy Hype, one of the plaintiff's lawyers, about what does she think people need to know about this? What was her main takeaway? And it really was that Idaho is just the first. This isn't the end, but now states have seen that they can build on this and that they can stop pregnant people from crossing state lines, that is going to be upheld by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And so there will likely be more movement amongst other states or even Idaho to try and expand on that.
Yeah, totally. And actually, I mean, Tennessee has. So Idaho was the first, and Tennessee, their state legislature passed a similar law. So Idaho leading the way, not in a way that you or I are happy about, to say the least. And I mean, I also wonder, I think about other super conservative states like Texas. I don't know if you saw this as kind of a side note to this particular story, but Austin, a liberal capital city and a very conservative state with abortion bans and a couple of very high-profile deaths among pregnant women who've died as a result of the bans, or at least, I would say that they did. Their city council passed an abortion fund directly that is funding.
Wow.
I know. I learned about this recently. I thought it was interesting. And part of the money is going to a nonprofit that specifically helps minors. But that's because Texas doesn't yet have one of these laws targeting minors who might be crossing state lines or getting access without parental consent. But of course, the Boise City Council probably can't do that because Idaho has this law. So
do you know how fast the legislature would come down on something like that?
Totally. So we even stand out in deference to Texas, right? Like Idaho's even more conservative than that on this measure.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see now leading into the legislative session. I know it's December. We're all holding our breath because the legislative session is coming, but the legislature is going to be significantly more far right. And so with this, I'm gonna say it's in many cases a legal victory for them and for the people who passed this law. Our Attorney General Raul Labrador is definitely claiming it as a victory. What will that embolden them to do this legislative session? Like they've already flirted with not letting pregnant people cross state lines
who are adults.
Who are adults.
Yeah.
Are they going to look at that more? How are they going to try to enforce this? How are they going, there are a lot of potentially very serious questions that now arise out of this ruling that I'm not entirely excited to find the answer out to in the coming months. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. For me, the best part of December is getting to curl up on the couch, snuggled under a warm blanket, sipping something delicious and soaking up the holiday glow. But as cozy and magical as this time of year can be, it's also when extra stress can creep in with family gatherings, busy schedules, or even just the pressure to feel festive throughout the season. Sometimes we need a little extra help to feel that holiday peace in our everyday lives. That's why I think therapy is so valuable. Therapy has helped me learn how to process my emotions, build resilience, and find the tools to feel more grounded and joyful throughout the year. If you're thinking about giving it a try, BetterHelp makes it so simple. It's entirely online, so it's designed to fit into your busy schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, plus switching therapists is free if you need a better fit. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/citycast to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/citycast. Boise, we all love our foothills views, but nothing beats a weekend on the Oregon coast. This is your invitation to discover one of Oregon's most iconic lodges, Salishan Coastal Lodge by SCP Hotels. Set on 200 acres of lush coastal forest, Salishan is more than a place to stay. It's a destination where adventure, relaxation, and wellness come together. For a limited time, CityCast listeners can enjoy 20% savings on stays with code CityCast. Make Salishan Coastal Lodge your next adventure destination. Visit salishan.com and use code CityCast to save 20% on your stay today. Frankie, I have a question for you. I'm curious. Did you ever eat at the restaurant Biscuit and Hogs?
You know what? I did not. And I guess it's a past tense now because I will not get the chance to because they just permanently closed. I did not. Did you ever eat there?
I did. I did one time. I had been, now it's closed. I don't mind saying this.
Sure.
I had several friends who were like, you've got to try it. It's so good. It's not like my first choice for a breakfast spot. But I was like,
it's very heavy, very dense
if everybody
stuff,
says it's so good, I might as well try it.
Yeah.
And I got a pancake because, a pancake's a pancake. And it was huge. It was, the size of a turkey platter for Thanksgiving. And like the bacon, I'll say the bacon was good, but bacon is bacon. Like, come on. It's usually always good. But the pancake, I think they were going for like, here's a massive amount of food, but it was like tough and cold when I got it. So I was like, well, that's not fun. Like, that's not delicious. It is ginormous, but not good. But yeah, like you said, it's not maybe an option anymore.
Yeah.
There's been quite a bit of discussion about what is going on and talk about lawsuits and broken contracts and owing Shamrock Foods $300,000. And we talk a lot about restaurants in this area, but this seems a little unique compared to other restaurant closures. Wouldn't you agree?
I think to a degree, it certainly does seem like this. Yeah, so Boise Dev broke the news last week that Biscuit and Hogs on Linder Road, North Meridian, permanently closed. And the message was that the owner was going through some health issues, was in the hospital, and that the landlords said, hey, pay back, you owe us back rent and you're not paying it. And because he was in the hospital, according to this long Instagram post like that, they didn't receive the message. And then the landlord said, you're done. This is it. But then more and more has come out, and Boise Dev did highlight, this number that this group supposedly, that the owner, his name's Boomer Godsill. Boomer Godsill has owned a bunch of different restaurants recently in the last few years. And supposedly he owes almost $600,000 in things like unpaid rent, damages to certain buildings, other kinds of fees, including in bills like to Shamrock Foods, which is the food supplier. Yeah, that's a shocking number. I don't think we hear about, over $500,000 owed by one restaurant owner very often in Boise.
Yeah, no, that is unique. That number, I was like, that doesn't feel like something that happens in a month where you experience a health scare. Not to diminish a health scare. That's not, we don't want that for anybody. But I don't think you accrue nearly $600,000 in debt that quickly. I might be wrong. I've never owned a restaurant, let alone several. So I could be wrong here.
Me neither. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that's a whoopsie in a month situation.
Yeah. And for example, like he had already closed a few of the restaurants, including the Huck House Brunchette closed in Boise. And then, there were two Biscuit and Hogs locations, closed both of those. Closed something in the Brunchette on the lake in McCall. He had owned that, sold it. So that one apparently is still open, but not under his ownership anymore. So I don't know. I wonder if, it seems like a lot of restaurants opened in a short period of time, and a time where restaurant ownership and local ownership is very challenging and very volatile. During COVID years, we know how hard it was. And I'm actually doing a little bit of research for an episode we're working on that's going to come out in a couple weeks about kind of the challenges that local Boise restaurants are facing that are not ones they can necessarily control, the market forces, the labor issues, the cost of goods, inflation, all of that. But this, yeah, it sounds like there's certainly perhaps those things were factors and a bunch of other things as well. It seems as though, but yeah, never going to get to eat that pizza box size pancake, I guess.
It's okay. It's not. It wasn't like a touchstone moment in my life. So
Sure. Fair enough.
Yeah. Do you? I'm really curious. Do you think that this is just part of that bigger trend where we have seen a lot of restaurants close, or does this feel maybe more potentially some mismanagement, potentially other issues going on outside of just the challenges of running a chain of restaurants in this area?
I mean, what I would say is that, again, my very little knowledge, but in talking with restaurant owners, you can have incredible food, the best vibes, the best aesthetic, be so welcoming, the best staff. And if you're not really on top of the business side, things can fall apart really, really fast, which is why, of course, restaurants famously very slim margins, and famously they close all the time. It does kind of speak, widening out, I think, Boise and the Treasure Valley really loves its chain restaurants, which I think you and I agree. And pretty much we always are talking about local restaurants on this show. So yeah, anytime you see local businesses go under, you kind of go, oh no, what's happening? And is this part of a bigger trend, or is there something kind of isolated happening here? Might be a combination, but it does seem like, given all of the things that are due over a long period of time across different businesses, they got in a really bad spot, and now they owe almost $600,000 to various entities.
Yeah, and it sounds like all those entities are going to come collecting. It sounds like multiple lawsuits have been filed, and people are not just going to take it on the chin with this one.
Okay, Lindsay, I need to know what's bringing you joy this week. What's your pick of the week that you're excited about or interested in?
Okay, well, this probably won't be a surprise to our listeners because I think I've made it pretty well known. I love coffee, and I'm always enjoying a good coffee, looking for a delicious coffee. And actually, the past couple weeks, while I've been doing holiday shopping, trying to get organized, getting stuff together for Thanksgiving, I went over to Common Ground and I ended up trying their Salty Gal. And it is delicious.
Wait, what is the Salty Gal? I've seen it on their board, but I didn't try it when I was there recently.
Yeah, it is they make I believe, a homemade salted caramel sauce, and they just mix it into your latte. And I'm not necessarily a caramel and coffee girly. That's not usually my first choice. But when they recommended it, I was like, okay, well, that's what I've got to try then. And it was delicious. Like, it is sweet, so it's a treat, but while I've been out running errands and stuff, it's just really comforting, really cozy. It is a perfect holiday adjacent type beverage. And I was in the other day and they were also doing their peppermint lattes, and they have little crunched up peppermint they put on top, and that was delicious too. So far the drinks I've tried there have been just absolutely delicious, fantastic for running around town, getting ready for the holidays, running errands. So, it's a bit out of my way, but I have been making the jaunt over because I do think it's worth it.
You prioritize a stop there. Yeah, I was there when they were putting up some, doing like little homemade paper snowflakes on the window. And it was like so cute and cozy. I ended up having a cider, which was very good, but I didn't get a coffee drink. So Salty Gal, okay. Do you get it with alternative milks, or do you do like a normal milk? What's your milk preference?
I probably should get it with alternative milk, but I just pop a Lactaid and just have them make it. Yeah. I pretend it's not going to be a problem, and, pop a Lactaid and just get it, and it is delicious. So I've only had it the way they prepare it with regular milk.
Sure.
But it's delicious. I'm sure it'd be delicious either way. That sauce is really good.
Yum. Okay.
Frankie, I'm curious, going into the weekend, what is your pick of the week?
Okay, this is something I have been waiting to see in Boise for years. I kind of couldn't believe that it took this long, but I'm excited that it's finally happening, which is that the city of Boise actually just announced that they're starting a car share. So do you know what car shares are? I mean, it's kind of obvious.
Okay, is this kind of like the Vegas thing?
Vegas thing where
you
does
can
Vegas
get like
do?
the little like Tesla car and everybody can like hop in and you can
Rent for like by the hour or by the day or whatever. Yeah, totally. That's it. Exactly. So the city's partnered with St. Luke's and Idaho Power and a couple of other entities to bring about two cars, it sounds like at this stage, at two different sites. One at the Franklin Apartments is where it's going to be. That's the base for it, where it needs to be parked and returned to, and where you can find it, which is the new affordable housing complex, which, side note, we should talk about that more someday.
Yeah.
So that's a great location. And then the other one is going to be downtown at the near the St. Luke's Medical Center in downtown. And the reason why I'm excited about this is I just feel like in the landscape of options for people who don't have a car, can't afford one, or don't want to have one, like really want to try and be carless, whether it's for environmental reasons or they just don't want the hassle, whatever. I think it's great to have this option. They're both going to be electric vehicles. Hilarious if they were Cybertrucks. I don't think they are. But they're officially going to have two cars that'll be available for people. And I just feel like this is something that I've seen other cities have for many years to one degree or another. Now, other cities, I think they mostly have come in as companies that have come in and said, we're going to have a car share program in St. Paul or Minneapolis, which is where I lived, and there was one for years, honestly, in the early 2000s. So two's a good start, but I could see there being some demand for this.
Yeah. I wonder if it's one of those things where once people start using it, it becomes an essential necessity for the city and the program will just grow.
Yeah.
Well, Frankie, thank you so much. This was a fantastic Friday episode. I think we covered a lot of ground, and it's always so much fun to have you on the show.
So fun to be here. Thanks so much, Lindsay.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. The show is produced by Evelyn Avitia, Frankie Barnhill, Elizabeth Kama, and me, Lindsay Van Allen. Blake Hunter writes our Hey Boise newsletter, and our music is by Up Is the Down Is The. If you enjoyed our show today, leave us a review. It helps other people find us. We'll be back on Monday with a look at what the State Board of Education and universities are doing to DEI programs. You won't want to miss it.